Okay, got a 1991 non-EGR Canadian model, 4-door Metro, 5-speed, 3-cylinder. If you're looking to haul the family around, there's nothing cheaper than this car. Walk around and give you a look-see. Car's in excellent condition. Every car that's this old has a few little cherry spots on it. This one has a broken front dam right there. The nice thing about that is they lose about $50 for a replacement one, and the new ones are black. You don't paint them. They change them in a few minutes, probably about an hour. And then this has got a mark here on the hood, and there's some touch-up paint that would actually go away. I don't think you can see it at all. Walk around one more time. Besides that, it's in really great shape. It's a true LSI, which is rare. In fact, I've only ever had two of them. And you can tell a true LSI by it has the release here for the trunk, for the rear hatch. It's the only way to know that you have a real LSI. The LSIs are nice. Means you got a rear wiper, a rear window defroster, there's not many options on a Metro, so it's nice when they do have them. And yeah, it's got like new tires on it. Make sure you can see everything on it. Chassis got 136,000 on it, and then the rest of the drivetrain's just been redone, so it's ready to go another 125, 150,000 miles. But if you're looking for a good gas mileage car to haul some people in, or if it's a work rig and you need some extra space, 4-door's nice. Well, the other thing that tells you that it's a real LSI is the back seat is split here. And the seats fold down independently. If you have a dog, it's really nice because you have somebody in the back seat and that folded down and they can lay on the other side. But, alright, I'm going to get this posted up. I'll do one more quick walk around. And if you think this might be yours, give me a buzz. I'd like to make it yours. Obviously, I go through all, on my website what I do. But I always use the factory, all the factory parts and rings. Just put a new set of pistons and rings on them. The old ones are all stacked down here. Getting ready to install the rings. The cylinder walls, I've already done those. They're all perfect. The crankshaft is beautiful. This will be a perfect motor when it's done. And what was I going to show? I think I was just going to show here that the rings are installed on it. I'm not sure where I started on this video, but since it's up for going to be sold, generally I just show little bits and pieces of each part. Alright, just getting ready to install this water pump here. Make sure you take and use a factory water pump. This GMB brand is the original OEM manufacturer for the water pump. There are other brands out there, don't buy them. Besides, usually you have to pay more than the original one anyhow. Then silicone the gasket to the pump if you're doing this yourself at home to your own car, but not to the engine block. So when you take the water pump off, it comes off like this one right here did, and the gasket came off with it, and it's just minimal cleanup on the block. I say that because when you get to your 60,000 mile service, it changes the water pump timing belt service from taking you a couple hours to a 45-minute, no big deal service. Just a little time saver. I can't emphasize enough that when you're putting a new seal in it, this is the front crank seal, I just pushed it in, that you lube the skirt as it slides on the crankshaft. You got to be really, really careful, or you can cut it. And then use the factory seal. Very, very important. And then when you put it down, make sure you're using a socket that's that size. I have a tool that fits over the top of it, and I use a crank bolt and it just pushes it in. But if you're going to tap it in, try to use something that's its entire diameter, because if you just smack it all the way around, and just kind of beat it around like my finger's bouncing there, God, they just tend to leak after. Well, not immediate, but they do leak down the road. It doesn't ever seem like it's very far along. Something to think about. Okay, I'm just getting started on this head. I've already ground the valves, installed new stainless valves in it. The head's been CC'd. I've already milled the head off. It's a little dirty from setting it up on the counter here. Normally they're very, very shiny. At any rate, the compression ratio's already been reset on it, and I'm ready to start porting it, doing a sign-in on the combustion chamber, and I've got the lifters out. I just went through those, and they're sitting and soaking in some fresh synthetic oil. And in fact, I haven't even taken the old plugs out yet. And this is a non-EGR motor that I'm putting it on, so we'll clean the EGR parts out anyhow and stuff, but they don't get used on this particular car. What else? Well, that's pretty much it. I've got the new camshafts in a box over there, and I'll slap it together. I'll do a couple shots here and there. Maybe it'll help some of you guys at home see what I'm doing, kind of, sort of, and at least give you some direction or some motivation. I know how important that is. And then the long block, the bottom end, I've already done, and I've just shoved it over to the side. Remember, I always put the heads in after I put the engine blocks in. I know a lot of you like to do it all together, but I can assure you it's faster. And I don't even worry about fast, because I can do it pretty damn quick anyhow. But it's just more convenient to put the block in and then put the head on. Everything's lighter and easier. And I know I have a gantry lift, where I can slide everything around and on both axis or 3-axis or whatever that is, but I just find it more convenient. It's easier to put the starter motor back in, hook the wiring harness up. You can lay the harness down behind the, this is how the block would be if this was the front of the car right here. The wiring harness lays down back here and comes up over the top. You can lay that in and put it up over the fender well, and in fact, so you've got the computer controls and stuff right there. You can get them out of the way. It's just by far a better way to go. And then I should have, I might just start pressure washing the cars first, because it probably shoots a little bit better video. But you can see, like, I've already thrown in a new throw-out bearing, and it's all lubed up, and I got to shoot a shot of the clutch assembly on the motor and stuff. But I replace everything on the cars. And I think if you watch the last 100 videos I've done, you'll see I do the exact same thing every time. But yeah, just the wiring harness kind of thing is its own deal. At any rate, I'm going to go through. I'm going to make this head the happy mile per gallon head. And we're gonna push this one. In fact, I'm only gonna do a limited amount of cars this year. I know last year I would just work my ass off. I gotta be honest, I didn't really enjoy it all that much. So I'm gonna do fewer cars, because I've got some other boat projects and stuff that I want to work in that I feel like I worked out last year. So there'll be a limited amount of cars that I'm going to go through and sell. So if you want one, better just send me an email and give me a deposit, because I'm putting them together when it's convenient for me. I'm going to slap them up on the CL and Craigslist, and just the first person that puts money in my hand gets the car. I'm not going to mess around with them this year. Let's see, what else are we going on with this car? I don't really want to shoot a video of the car itself yet, because it still needs to be detailed and cleaned up. But I went way out of my way to pick this one as kind of a special vehicle, because it has some special things to it that I think are ideal for the Metro. You know, I'm going to kick this off because I see the video timer says we're 4 minutes into me just talking. Okay, it's been hours. What are we doing here? I was going to show this head. I set it over here. It's aluminum, but it's still not light. So these intake runners are ported out. The head's been completely finished. I just have it sitting here until I grab it. Still have to put the camshaft and stuff in it, but that's where we're at. Alright, I can't stress enough on these seals that you should be using the factory stuff. The Stone brand out of Japan. So it's well worth it. They last a lot longer than anything you're going to buy that is a knockoff. What I was going to do is show you, though, I take a little anti-seize. If I can get the anti-seize to squeeze out. And I put some on the inside. I'm doing this with one finger, one hand, because I got the camera in the other. But that'll help it slide on there. And you want to be real careful when you're putting it on. If you're doing a Sammy or a tracker, take black electrical tape and wrap it around the crankshaft if you're doing the crank one, or it'll slice it, and then put it on there and then pull the black tape back off. That's how you stop those from leaking. God knows there's a lot of people that have swapped a million crankshaft seals out and can never get them to quit leaking. The head I've already finished up here. So I got the block pretty much ready to go in. And then remember, when you get your camshaft, it's going to come with a coating on it. Don't wash that off. That's like a break-in type deal. And I need two hands to put this cam seal in, but lube it up, it helps. And you can use grease too. I just use anti-seize on everything because I'm the anti-seize king. Probably should use grease, it's cheaper. Yeah, that's where we're at so far. I don't know if anybody wants to take a look at it, or the guy that's buying this car wants to look at it. Oh, happy. And then obviously everything's still got to be put on the head. I'm in the middle of building a timing cover for this. It's the same thing I do on all of them. Don't ask me to not do it. I hate when people ask me to not do it. So I've cut the timing mark out, and this gets all cleaned up. It's all grungy and greasy. I paint the marks all up. But at any rate, the reason I do it is because Geo Metros, the belt will walk and it'll cut holes through it. Generally, they'll cut a hole all the way through the thing. I could show you tons and tons of covers that are like that. The reason that we just cut this lower section out, and we just retain the one bolt on the one side and the one on the other side of the timing mark, is so you can fully inspect the timing belt when you're getting it, checking your oil if you want, or if you take it into a mechanic for a tune-up or whatever you're doing. Somebody can just take a peek at the timing belt. They can physically grab it and look at it. And that saves hours, because if not, it's totally behind a cover. And the only time you'll know that there was a problem is if it comes apart or breaks or shreds or cuts itself up. It's something that can happen, and this virtually eliminates it. I mean, even if you looked at it every 20,000 miles for 10 seconds, you will see on the side of the belt that it's being touched or scuffed long before it's broken. You don't have to know anything about cars. You just have to know that, God, I don't think that belt should look like it's all getting rubbed on one side. But that's what that's the reason I do it, and don't worry about anything getting in there or anything. I run off-road cars with 200 horsepower motors that run in the desert with pump drives and gear drives, and nobody puts covers on anything. It's just not an issue for getting anything in there. I'm not sure if I've ever put that in a video except for when they're all finished and done. But I just put it in the chop saw and cut it out, and then I just take a razor blade, clean it up, repaint it, make it look like it's a factory part, and then we just take this part of it and just throw it away. And that is a huge advantage over not having that.
That's quick.
And in fact, I would go as far as to say, is the late model Geos ended up putting a rubber plug in right here, about yay big around, and it's so you can pull the plug out, look in at it, and put the plug back in. So I know I was never too far off because I was doing this way before they decided to give you an inspection port. So obviously it's important to look at it if the factory said, oh, we've got a little bit of an issue here. Make sure you take the time to file the tips on the clutch disc if you're doing this at home to your own car. Remember, you want to get in there, you're not going down it, you're just on a 45 on the tips here. You know, just a little file, it takes just a second, just knock it down. Watch some of my other videos if you're not sure how to do it, but it makes it way easier to drop the motor in. So now we've got the pilot tool's been in it, pressure plates on it, got a new throwout bearing in it, it's got a new rear main seal in it, it's got front seal, it's got bearings, rings in it, water pumps on this thing. It's ready to go back in. And that's what I'm going to do. Alright, I want to show you people at home that are trying to redo your Geo yourself. This is just a paper towel. Ran a little carb cleaner on there. You could use brake clean if you wanted. Solvents. When you prep the engine block, you prep it like you're going to paint it. It has to be clean. And you can see a little bit of grunge coming off there. I've already cleaned it half a dozen times. I'm going to clean it until I pull that rag off and it's white. We absolutely want it sterile. And that's what makes the head gasket stick and last forever. You would be surprised if you can't get water underneath the head gasket or past its leading edge. It can't rot. It can only rot if it's submerged in Presto. Leave that head gasket on the shelf, it'll last forever. Got to get it clean, get it down, and let those glues that they put in it work. Just a little something. That's actually really super clean. In fact, I'll flip it over here. It's pretty clean. And you can see how we're really close. I'm going to hit it one more time with some carb cleaner, and then I'll be ready to set this head on there. I'm going to blow it off still. And then remember, when you're watching my videos, everything's greasy and grungy till the end. I do a final cleaning at the end. All the engine gets prepped as I go through, but I don't do the outside of the block. And I'll do the transmission when we get all done here. On the end of the end of my videos, as a rule of thumb, depending on what the weather is like outside, for my video camera, I'll take a video of it when it's pressure washed, and then they look like they're brand new coming out of the factory again. But the deck of these blocks, see, and you got to do this to the head too. It has to be just completely clean. If it's not, you're just cheating yourself. Very, very important. Now, something I like to do, and I know a lot of people, this could be argued with mechanics, but I've never had a problem. And when you're doing your thermostat housing here, so this is a new stainless thermostat. It's a 180-degree model. Now I'll peel this off. I just put it on with silicone. Oh, I want that to fall out. You've got your thermostat installed, and then you're going to take your gasket, and I put a bead of silicone around there, just a light thin film bead. You're going to get that lined up, and then I've already buffed this and cleaned it all with carburetor cleaner or solvent for some of you that are using solvent. Again, it has to be clean like the head gasket I showed earlier. I'm going to put just a smidge of a bead around here, and I'm just doing a horrendous job with one hand and the gun. Which is okay because it's going to spread out to, a thousandths thick, so it's about 10 times more than you ever need. And then we're going to just take, and it only goes on one way. The casting line is up. I'm sorry if the camera moved away. And we're going to put it on like so, and then just run the nuts and bolts down. Remember, you're going to put anti-seize on those nuts and bolts. Always anti-seize everything up. The lubrication just makes it so much better when you take it apart later. At any rate, I'm going to pull all this apart and redo it because I'm doing it with one hand, but you get the gist of what I'm up to here. It is really important though. And then the thermostat housing never. It just occurred. Okay, so I've got this all together now. You can see the excess silicone stuck out. Remember, this casting mark points up, and that tells you which way the thermostat housing goes on. The bolts won't line up the other way. Just a little FYI. Remove your temperature switch. This one, well, I don't know if you can tell I've done it, but remove that. Take a razor blade and break the gasket free. It can be copper or a phenolic material. Don't damage it, just pop it off, put a little anti-seize on it and thread it back down. And these have a tendency to leak and fail. I find that a little anti-seize, don't over tighten it, just snug it up. And seems to save quite a bit of hassle. Lots of metros, when you're out looking for a used one, will have a toggle switch inside it, or the radiator fans are wired straight up because this switch is bad, or they have a blown head gasket or something creative. Then I like to go through on the wiring harness here and run an ohms check on the temperature sending unit to the relay in the fuse panel, and correct it. In this one I found a broken wire. Probably about every other wood you find a broken wire in it, and so it's fixed and it's all good to go. And then when you're routing, like for the alternator and the starter wires, it looks all messy down here, but it's actually, there's a method to the madness. You want to make sure that you're looped under for your alternator connection and your starter connection, and the power wire to the starter motor comes in horizontally from the back with a, no, it's more than a 90, it's probably about 130 degree angle on it. It is important, and it kind of wants to lay that way. Just if you don't know, if you don't, there's some things that when it gets running, it'll rub on the harness. So it's important to put the harness back on the right spot. And where are we at? I've got a head gasket laying on here because I'm just finishing this head up. I've slapped the intake and exhaust manifold on it and drop it on here. And that's probably the next video. I'm just cleaning up this intake. That dark spot. Let's set this thing on its side here. This spot right here. That's where the EGR hole would normally be on the head, which is right here. But the EGR on this model car, this is what makes this car so unique. It has no EGR system from the factory, so it's emissions legal without EGR. Runs a little different computer. It really is what you're after when you're going to chase gas mileage down.
Thanks for listening to the I'm Rico.
There's an EGR system that also you want to use that you can chase gas mileage down.
Which is why we pronounce the name.
One of the reasons like a 95 or later Geo is not the ideal car. But just wanted to show somebody that. Most people have never seen one of these. They're fairly rare. I try to hunt them down. Normally there's an EGR unit off of the manifold here and feeds down in the intake. So nothing's plugged up on this. If you're really curious about it, just watch another video. I've done lots of cars. Okay, so just like I showed you on the thermostat housing, that I put a bead of silicone on each side of the gasket. You want to treat your intake manifold when you're putting that on, because this jacket here and this jacket here are water block off plates. It just simply is the casting ended right there, and the intake manifold, it blocks it off right here and right here. But we don't want it to leak, just like the thermostat. So what we do is we just put a little bead of silicone around it, and not the whole thing, just the water jackets. The rest of it, we just want the paper or metal gasket on there.
Henderson County have come up with what they call the gnome defense.
And
you're going to be hearing that a lot, I think, in future.
That's it. And then we're going to put some on the back side of the gasket, and I'm going to put the intake manifold on it and torque it. But we're just doing that because it's just like the thermostat gasket. We just don't want it to leak. It's under pressure, and that's the magic of it. Okay, so I just squeeze a little silicone around here. Then we're going to take and get the studs anti-seized.
When a motorcycle cop pulls you over,
And then
I'll tell you that your boss, the bank manager, just had his house blown up, and that whoever
and then squeeze a little anti-seize on the threads.
inside the car you're sitting in. You get out of the car,
And
right?
we put the intake manifold on. And I can't do that with two hands, so I'll shut this thing up. PVC valves rarely plug up on a Metro. The valve itself does. You can just take it apart and clean it. I've only ever seen ones that were broken off that were bad. Put some carb cleaner in, a little solvent, shake it up, clean it, blow it through. It's just a check valve. If you can hear me blowing through it. And when you suck on it, it stops. That's the other portion you're hearing there. The PVC valve on this one, I just cleaned it out. It's just perfect. Make sure that the O-ring portion of it goes down, but make sure that this passage is open. And you're just going to want to take your, oh, I've got a coat hanger here I use that I've bent up. But, actually I grabbed the wrong one. I've got one that goes either way. Grab the right.
Everyone brings a gift, something really simple.
So it's not a saving
darn it.
it's like a gift giving.
But it actually travels
Exactly appropriate.
down and over and into the intake. I've got a wire that I'm going to have to grab it out, but I've bent that just fits it just perfect. But you want to make sure that passage is clean, and then you want to make sure that the O-ring part of the PVC valve goes down so it's sealed up against the metal. And the other thing is when you're taking the Phillips screws out, they almost always will strip out if you just take and put the Phillips screwdriver to them. They'll almost always strip out. It's just a pain. So what I like to do is just take a punch and just smack them and get them turning. I don't know. Show you. So what I do is when they're on the, get in front of the camera here, I gotta see what I'm doing here. But I just get in on there and I just give them a smack with a punch, and then that breaks them loose, and then you can take them out with a Phillips screw. If not, you'll just strip the head out and you'll have to drill it out. Trust me. I just pulled the old O-ring off the distributor and put the new one in there. Make sure you lubricate it, make sure not to tear it, scratch it, or whatnot. This one's really hard. Obviously it leaked. What was I going to say here? There was something else I was going to say. I'm ready to set this head on. Oh, you only need to put one bolt in the distributor. Don't put two in there. If you ever want to work on it, just break the one. Oh, no distributors run two, very few. Some knucklehead's idea of putting one on each end is just to make it difficult for you. Your thing's sealed with an O-ring in the middle. It's just to lock it down so it can't twist. And then if you have the Allen style, I throw them away. You'll have this style headed bolt. It's number 10, I think. I kick those out and I just put a standard 12 hex head on there. And you don't have to have any special tools. Put a 10, a 12, a 14, a 17, a 19 in your car for a toolkit, and a sockets and wrenches, and a Phillips and a regular screwdriver. You can just about disassemble the car. You know, I thought I'd point out here, because it's been probably been 20 cars back, probably since the last time I pointed it out. But when I get done with a car, I've marked the timing mark for you. It goes between the two bolt holes in the valve cover, or if you have the valve cover in, it has a notch right there that it lines up with. The pulley has got a marked groove, a groove ground in it. I've painted it white. We set it up on 0. That's on top dead center. That's 0. All you have to do to change this timing belt in the future is loosen this 10 up. This bracket right here, there's a spring-loaded piece here. It's slotted. It will lift up, literally just like an inch. You loosen that 12. You loosen this 10 up. Loosen this 12 up. This piece will raise up, and it leaves the belt loose. You take this 110 millimeter nut out of the plastic timing cover that we've cut back, and you pull it up out of the way. The timing belt can be snaked out of there. The new one can be snaked back in. You put the 10 back on there. you push this tensioner all the way to the very bottom and tighten it up. There's no adjustment, just push it all the way till it stops and tighten it up. That's not how you do it on a normal stock Geo. This one's got my MPG head on it, so when the head is cut, it changes this adjustment. It just happens to be bottomed out. You tighten that 12 up and you're done. That's it. And if you're not sure where top dead center is, all you gotta do is pull this number 1 spark plug out, put a screwdriver in there, and put your socket or wrench on the crank pulley, and just crank it over until the screwdriver raises up as far as it goes, and when it starts to drop down, if you see that mark and the 0 together, it's correct. If you see no mark, and that just means that you need to go one more time around, and then the mark will be on 0 and the screwdriver will be all the way up. That's all you're doing. Pistons at the very top. The 2 marks come together. If they don't, you run it around again. You line this mark up between the 2 valve cover bolt holes. And this 10, this 12, and this 10 on this plastic cover, you don't even have to take both of them off. It'll bend out of the way and bend right back. You can literally change. You might want to take the 4 bolts out of the water pump pulley, but you can do it without doing that. I can change this timing belt, I kid you not. I've done it on the side of the road in like 10, 12 minutes or something. I can't remember. I've told the story before in one of the videos. I was going on vacation. I was driving a car that had a cut in the timing belt, and I knew it was going to go out. Anyhow, I drove the car thousands of miles farther than I should have with it that way. And we were hauling down I-5 with my daughter and I headed to Oregon. And I felt the timing belt break. I was in the fast lane, probably about 75. I coasted over. We went right up the top of the off-ramp. I knew exactly what was wrong. I had already thrown a timing belt and water pump in the trunk of the car. I had my toolkit with me. In fact, it was just my fishing my tackle box, and I jumped out, grabbed it all, and popped the hood open. The time I had that thing changed, I got back in the car, and my daughter told me she was on the phone with our buddies that we were meeting for vacation, and they were getting ready to put their stuff away to come drive a couple 100 miles back and get us because the car was broken down. And we were back on the road, and I think she said it was like, she dialed the phone like right when I jumped out of the car, and I think she said it was like 12 minutes on there. So it's fast. So the first time you do it, if it takes an hour, but don't go spend 150 or 200 bucks and have it changed. And if you're doing the water pump, then I guess that's the trick. If you're doing the water pump at the same time, you're only adding about a half an hour to it. I mean, you've only got 6 bolts, 6 10mm to take on and off there. Where else am I? I'm just about ready to plug everything in. I've been kind of dragging my feet on this car because I've got a whole bunch of projects going on for some boat and hovercraft stuff. So I've got these videos over days. But I'm going to fire this thing up tonight for sure. So I'm going to plug everything in here and fill it up with some oil and prolong, and still need to get an oil filter on it. Yeah, there's still some work to be done here. And then I'll head down to the other building and use the hoist and the fuel injection done and all that fun stuff on it. And what else is there? No, I think that's all I wanted to point out, is just the fact that this is something a single mom can do. Just by watching my video here, it might sound a little confusing, but when you get in there, it's a 10 wrench and a 12 wrench and a 17 socket, to set it up on top dead center. Anybody can do this. And the first time you do it, an hour. Second time you do it, a half an hour. Keep in mind, we're talking 60,000 miles at a time. And then after that, you're a pro. You're just a pro. No, it takes longer to do a tune-up on the car than it does to do a timing belt. Now, if you have a timing belt cover on the car, it's a whole different deal. You got to pull the crankshaft pulleys and stuff off of it. Makes me want to pull my hair out. That's why I cut it all back. Normally, this plastic cover wraps around the bottom of the crankshaft. There's no way to pull the timing belt between the crankshaft and the pulley. So now that that's gone out of there, you can snake it out of there. When you get to it, you'll see what I mean. What else? Oh, you know, something I'll point out really quick is every chance you get, put a new belt on a Geo Metro. If it's a 3 groove, if it's a 95 or later with a 4 groove, they last longer. They're always squealing. You know, if you tightened it up a couple of times, you've snugged it up and now it's not squealing, the next time throw the belt away because you're actually breaking it. It's actually getting pulled apart. It's too small of a belt. There's no doubt about it. They fixed it in the later models. You can't do anything about it. It's a 3K323 belt. It's an odd belt. It only fits the Metro. Buy an extra one. Throw it in your trunk. Especially if you have air conditioning. If you have AC, it really loads that belt up when you're sitting there idling and that spools up. The AC pump turns on and the alternator goes under load. At any rate, only tighten them up a couple of times and then throw them away. If not, they actually will break on you. I don't know if there's a better brand than any. I use the Contatec that makes the timing belts for them, and if my supplier doesn't have those, I just use Goodyear's. In fact, this is a Goodyear one that's on here, but they're probably all about the same quality. It's just too small of a belt. Little FYI, because you always hear belts squealing on Geos. Snug them up twice, 2 different times, and then throw them away, because the third time, generally you're breaking the cord. Okay, there's a 2 ground wires on the back of the intake manifold. I don't know if you can see them there, right? Well, my finger's on them. If you're doing this at home, if you do not put those on, or get them a good connection, it will not start. You have to have that. That is what grounds out the injector pulse. You will check it. It will have injector pulse. It doesn't have enough. It can't carry the amp load up to it. So you'll test it. Everything will look perfect until you want to kill yourself. And when you get done pulling your hair out, you'll fix that ground. A good way to check that ground is to take a jumper cable and hook a ground to the intake manifold and the cable to the battery. And jump past that, and if your car fires right up, just take that apart and fix it, or trace the broken wire back. But that's the ground that goes up to the computer. Just a little something. Now, I send every car out with Prolong engine treatment in the engine and the transmission when I change the tranny fluid. If you want to buy this yourself, the best price you can get is right from Prolong. Just order it, have them ship it up from Vegas or Nevada, wherever they're at. This just happens to be a brand new deal. Sometimes they have a half price deal. You get 2 for, I don't know, but 2 gallons. I can't remember what it is. I got a super good deal the last time I bought a case of it. It was $88 per 2 gallons. But normally you can spend $160 plus shipping, get $180 into a gallon of this stuff. It's expensive, so definitely worth shopping for. The stuff is phenomenal, worth every penny. Or you can just buy it at AutoZone or Napa or something. It's $22 for just a few ounces, but this you get 128 ounces. It's a lot cheaper to buy it this way. Now, I'm a fanatic about good antifreeze. You can buy lots of cheap antifreeze, but I only buy Prestone. I hear all these stories about, one company makes all the antifreeze or whatnot, but this stuff, you never have any problems with it. Never ever. So use what you want, but it doesn't cost. In fact, look at this one. I get $7 or $15 off. Heck, you almost get the whole price back on it. On this, you have to send that rebate in. That's phenomenal. I think that means that thing of antifreeze only cost me like $8 if I send that in. At any rate, use the good stuff. And this is 5-year stuff. You know, so if you have to drain this out before 5 years for whatever, drain it out in a bucket, put it back in. I don't know. I don't find any. If you shorten things up, do cheap things, they always come back to haunt you. You know, like don't repack wheel bearings, throw them away. You know, totally your preference if you're at home. I'm just telling you what it takes. I was just fired up. I just set the timing on it, nice and quiet. It runs really sharp, really good. Another happy motor. Will last forever. I thought I'd wait for the fans to come on and whatnot. Oh, this is my favorite part. This is where we start to get to clean it all up. It's like the thermostat's starting to open up. All brand new antifreeze. Good to 5 million degrees below zero. Alright, I'm going to kick this off. I'm not sure where I'm going to kick back on. Probably doing I'm stuffing some new Bosch blades on this thing. Make sure you're putting the 20-inch on the driver's side and 18s on the passenger side. If you don't, tall people, it goes right through their eyesight. I say this on every video because it just drives me freaking crazy. Okay, I want to just show some of you do-it-yourselfers at home. This car I've installed the flush headlights on because I was really chasing some gas mileage with this car. But you can see how they're all fogged out, these plastic lenses. All you need is just a little bit of turtle wax polishing compound. $3 at Walmart. Get the scratch and remove. And then I use you can do it by hand, but I use a buffer. But you do it 2 or 3 times. This is the first time over it, but you can see it's just back to like glass again. Makes the headlights 1,000 times better. How many cars do you see with them yellowed out like that? But this is like a half an hour job to do it 3 times. And then they just look beautiful. Just a little something to help you out. I know they sell kits on TV for $20 or $30 or something, but a thing of turtle wax for $3 is enough to last you a lifetime on every car you ever own and your neighbors. Well, the rotors are a little warped, but we'll make them look brand new again. You can see the warp in them as it fluctuates in and out where it missed it on the last cut. I'm not sure these rotors have ever been turned. I didn't check them to start with, but there's lots of meat on them. So this is alrighty. Just put the final pass on here. So I cut them with 1 bit, and then I do what I call my satin finish to them, where they just machine them off just perfectly. I think it makes the brakes work a lot better and surely makes them last longer than if you just go to the machine shop and have them do a regular cut. They just rip the material off, and the rotor just doesn't have the correct finish. Anyhow, this one's just perfect. I'll go ahead and load the other ones up, and I'm getting ready to put some wheel bearings in and some brake shoes. Alright, I know I go over this on every video. When you get done with your brake job, paint all the hardware. It really does make the stuff last longer. Oops, because I keep it. And I know I didn't check these before I took them off because I just threw all the wheel bearings away. But that's perfect and quiet. I can assure you it wasn't that good before we started. Alright, out for the first test drive on it. It's a good runner. Wait for the speed limit to pick up here. One nice thing about these LSIs is they've got radios in them that still work. I don't know why the original Metro or the non-LSI radio always quit. This one was just a little bit better. Yeah, it's a nice cruiser. I'm very happy with this. I tried bringing my other camera out with me, but yeah, this is going to make a great commuter car for somebody. Imagine, it's amazing how clean it still is for its age. Metros aren't quite like the old Volkswagen Bugs as they started getting popular, which the Geos are kind of falling into that same category. With the Beetle went through with all the restorations and stuff. It would be nice when somebody starts to pick up one finger. In fact, you can grab with one finger and a turn. Like Geo's never needed power steering. We'll just turn around here. The brakes work perfect. They're brand new. Yeah, whip around here. There we go. Nice to drive with one hand on that. We'll start out third gear, why not? Actually, that's a good deal. No pinging, no nothing. That's nice. I've been lugging it out of third gear. From holding the camera and steering. Shift here. Yeah, we'll go right into shift here. Yeah, she's just a nice driver. Just run right down the middle of the road. Got the rear window defroster, or the rear window defroster, and the rear wiper, which is awesome. Sure wish I had that on mine. One day I'm going to find one with a wrecked one with a good hatch, and we switch them over. Such a pain to paint everything every time you do something like that. So we got brakes, wheel bearings, the engine's gone through, it's got a new clutch in it. What else? Tires on it. Oh, everything on the list on my website. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, I've done 100 of them. Yeah, so that's basically it. I'm do a little brake stop, you know, she's right and tight and stops in a straight line. Keep in mind I didn't have my hand on the steering wheel during that, so it stops really, really nice. Alignment's right on. And, yeah. What family should expect to get. Fully load this monster up. About, like I say on my website, you should get about 125,000. You should think about redoing the motor, going through everything again. Probably could push it out to 150 or 160 as long as it hasn't burned an exhaust valve by then. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Alright, well that's long enough for a test drive. These videos are starting to get too long. Like watching a major motor